Yeah. So, yes, my name is Bilal Motley. From Chester, Pennsylvania. And yeah, growing up in Chester, I found out later we had the largest oil refinery in all this industry, the Marcus Hook refinery. And then as an adult after college, I went to work at the South Philly, Philadelphia Energy Solutions. It used to be Sunoco Oil Refinery. And yeah, it was great money, great pay, changed my life. However, as the years went on, I thought, okay, I think this place is going to kill me because all my friends were dying young in the refinery. And most notably, my friend Chuck, my friend Mike West, my mentor. And yeah, there was nothing to prove it, like data or anything, but I just knew, like, why are all my friends that they're, in their 50s are dying young? Or I had another friend, Jim McHugh. He was like a mentor. He was sick. He retired. He kept putting it off. Well, I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna go to Ireland. I'm gonna retire in Ireland. And he retired at 65 finally. And then he died like months later. You know what I mean? And then Mike West, he died of I think it was cancer. He was my mentor. He was like in his early 50s. But the one that hurt the most was Charles R. Moore. He died in his mid 50s. So I was like, okay, this place is going to kill me. Like I remember all the headaches, not sleeping well. I was mostly night shift, so my equilibrium was way off. I never knew what day of the week it was. I was like, this place is going to kill me. So yeah, Chester, Philadelphia, it's like I couldn't escape it. You know what I mean? All this industry, and yeah. So that's why it led to Midnight Oil and all the rest of the work that I do. So 15 years worked at the refinery. I ran the wastewater treatment department, which is really important because the Schuylkill River surrounds the complex. And our job was to process rainwater, process unit process water from all the the acid units, the sulfur plant, and all the other units in the refinery. We were responsible for processing all that oil, all that sludge, all that high turbidity, high temperature water. Our goal was to always put the water back into the Schuylkill River cleaner than the way we took it, because we used one of the first processes at the refinery is to use boiler feed water. We take water from the Schuylkill River, we clean it using different chemicals so other units can use it for their turbines and all types of stuff, in our tanks. And yeah, and it's the EPA and the Coast Guard. They monitor the Schuylkill River very closely. You see the Coast Guard there every day. So our job was to put clean water back into the river. And all the time we weren't always successful, but we always took pride in our work. You know what I mean? I feel like we were the best at what we did, but it didn't matter as the rains increased. And like I think it was around 2018, we had a lot of flooding, and we just could not control, all that water. So eventually, water, it would be bad water going back to the river. So we had a lot of exceedances, a lot of violations that year, 2018. So. And then an explosion, because right before the explosion, we had a bad run. It was a bunch of fires, a bunch of floods. But then, I remember that week, things were good. I was in every day, and I was sitting in my office when it happened. It was 4 a.m. I was like, okay, we got through all of this bad stuff. I had weeks of fires and floods. And then that happened, So that morning, so it's shocking. It was very shocking. We all thought we were going to die, and but I'm glad our training kicked in. We just we all had all the managers were required to go to fire school in Dover, Delaware, and that was one of the top fire schools in the country. And yeah, all that training kicked in. But it was the scariest thing in my life, and yeah, my worst fear came true. Always knew something bad could happen, but you're making good money. It's things you make yourself blind to, and yeah, and then it happened. It was like a real life nightmare. So I left in 2017. I did the unthinkable. Nobody leaves that place. You're making up to between 100 and 200,000. You don't need a college degree, and I left. To be an artist and a writer, screenwriter, and a filmmaker, and a year later, I just couldn't cut it because it's being away from that money is hard. And then I I won't say begged, but I asked my boss for my job back. And then I'm depressed. I'm ashamed that I'm still there. I'm supposed to be in Hollywood somewhere. And then So another year goes by, and I'm just like, kind of out of it, going through the motions. All right, another day at work, and then that explosion happened. So yeah, and I wrote when I was gone, I was in New York working with like Emmy Award winning showrunners. My mentor Jerry Perzigian. I wrote a script called Midnight Oil. This is like a TV pilot script, and the first episode ended with an explosion. So this is in 2017 when I started, 2016, 2017, and he loved it. He said it's brilliant, but I thought I just canned it. I was like, I'm never going to make it. So I went back to the refinery, and then it actually happened. I knew about the people in the community that wanted it to close. I don't know if I knew they would call Philly Thrive, but I knew you would see them protesting. But you'd be surprised. Well, I was surprised at what I was willing to ignore because the place benefited me. I knew better. I was starting to learn more about climate change and things like that. But you're making all this money. It's things you just ignore. Like, oh, look at them out there protesting. Now, some of my colleagues would say really mean things about them. Well, look at those hippies, tree huggers, whatever. But I just ignored them because I didn't live in the community. You know what I mean? I didn't know them. I didn't. They were just some people standing outside. And then so yeah, I don't think they ever thought it was going to close because the place seemed undefeated. We all thought we were going to be there forever. And it's been open since late 1800s, into the Civil War. So, yeah, it was shocking that it closed. I know some people were happy. I know what really pissed me off, you'll see it in my film, is when some of the owners of the place gave themselves bonuses like that week or, like sometime around the time it closed. That really pissed me off. So I just learned a lot about business, communities, fence line communities. I just learned a lot because for years I just ignored it. I think if there were more sustainable jobs that benefited the planet that could pay that money, that's how this would never happen again. They're just going to follow the money, period. Like if it was a Tootsie Roll factory, it doesn't matter. You're making $100,000 with no college degree. That's what they're defending. Yeah. And so the way to bridge that divide, I don't know. All they saw was like, we don't know the owners of the place. All we see is these people. Well, they saw is those people that don't look like them that live in the community. They're trying to take it away from them, and that's why they reacted that way. That's it. Like, we don't know who the people that gave their bonuses. I have no idea what they look like, but look at these people in the community. They're trying to stop us. And so when I made this film, they thought I was trying to I did it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, no, there's people above us making these decisions. And so yeah, I think I think that's the only way if there were jobs that paid this well that weren't as harmful to the planet. That's it. But yeah, but they just saw the people in the community like they did it, and they put all their anger into them. People have to talk and meet. You know what I mean? There needs to be a mediator, like you saw in that town hall situation. Because that was the first time we met them, like actually talked to them, and that woke me up because they look just like the people where I'm from in Chester. Before they were just people holding placards outside. I was like, okay, and I would drive by them really fast. I didn't really talk to them, but we just have to talk and meet and talk. I don't think, we've never met them before, and so that meeting, I don't know if it would have got better after a few meetings, but maybe it could have, but people just have to meet instead of just talking at each other, like talk to someone. We're just talking at each other, going back and forth online and social media, and that's never the way because their guard is up. So, but they have to meet in a comfortable environment with a proper mediator. You know what I mean? Like somebody like me that I know both sides. I come from a community like that, and I worked inside. I can talk to people in the union and labor. I know that lingo. It has to be somebody they respect, and also somebody that look like, they could be from that community or it's from that community. That's the only way. Otherwise, they're never going to listen to the leaders of Philly Thrive. If they just come to a union meeting, it's never going to happen. So in Chester, we have the industrial highway, Route 291. And you just know, like, number one, you can't get a job down there unless you know somebody, which, it was rare that people from Chester could get jobs. There's Scott Paper, there's the Marcus Hook Refinery, which is right next to Chester. You just always knew it was there, but it was like it didn't belong to you. It felt like like I do know my dad, who's heavily involved in the city and politics. He would say, I would hear him say, you can't get a job down there, and they should pay more taxes, because they get all these tax breaks, and then there's a ribbon cutting, like, hey, we're gonna get jobs, and then it's like low paying jobs, like, I mean, there's dignity in being a security guard and things like that, but it doesn't pay well to start and sustain a family. So, it just felt like another world, and they weren't a part of Chester. You know what I mean? So, but growing up, I didn't think about the environment growing up. I just know everybody has asthma. Both my brothers do, my sister. I don't somehow, but a lot of people that I know have asthma. That's one thing I do know. But you don't really, just like you said, the other person said, you don't think about it. You're just like, all right, because you really don't go down there. You know what I mean? There's nothing for you down there on the waterfront, and it just felt like these other countries are invading your city. They're not a part of the city. That's what it felt like. These jobs are impossible to get, like the refinery job. I was living in North Philly after college, after I went to University of Connecticut, and I applied, right? 5,000 people showed up. It was like an in-person thing at the Leacourt Center, 5,000. And I almost turned around. I was like, wow, there's no way. It's like 100 slots, like how? And somehow I got it. I kind of winged the math portion, but it was like a math thing and the situational questions, but I don't know how I got it. It was the universe, and it's nearly impossible. You know what I mean? And the way it used to be at the refinery, that's how they kept a lot of minorities out. Like you really had to know somebody, but they made it more, just kind of open. So you had to pass these tests, and so. But in Chester, like for instance, Covanta, the nation's largest trash incinerator in my hometown. Someone did some numbers. In my understanding, there's only like maybe 9 people from Chester that work there, and there's like hundreds of jobs there. The nation's largest one, 9, maybe 9 to 10. That's ridiculous, and that's how it is. But I guarantee you, when they sold it to come there, they got tax incentives, and they said jobs, jobs, jobs. That's what they do. And they trick these local governments, and the governments it's their fault too. Because I know the people that were in charge when this came about, and they're a part of it too. They need to demand more. These companies, they don't pay that many taxes. Yes, they do contribute to the city, maybe 10% of the revenue, but as far as getting jobs, no. 9 people from Chester, come on, it's ridiculous. The people that work at these jobs are not bad people. I don't know about the people above them, but let's talk about the people that work there. In America, it's hard to find a good job where you work with your hands. It's really hard, and they're not bad people. They're conscientious. That's why I made the film. They really care. Like, we really cared about keeping it safe. Did we think about the community? Okay, when we were doing it, we weren't thinking, we were making it safe for us. You know what I mean? But we didn't want to get hurt, and that's what people need to realize. And I think there's a way for the communities and these industries to talk. There has to be someone with self-awareness, conscientious. I think on the labor side, they can talk to people. They can relate to people in the community. Don't talk at them. And but I think the people in the community just don't stop. You see with Philly Thrive, I didn't think it was possible, but their actions help. When the city was deciding whether to bring it back as a refinery, I know they had a large say. They listened to the community, because without that voice, who knows what would have happened. So, these are good people that work there. They're trying their best. They're trying to feed their families. Does that make it right? But then at the same time, it doesn't matter. These are good people. I think about that too. These industries are, they're not good for these communities. I went to a climate summit, a film climate summit in Houston last year, and it's the same story across the country, across the world. And people are fighting. There's Philly Thrives all over the country, like those type of organizations, and they're fighting the same story. You know what I mean? And but it really, really hits home, like in my hometown of Chester, with the incinerator there. And there's people there fighting too, and they just, don't give up. But if you're inside, like me, I know it's hard to speak up. I knew, I was starting to learn more, but I didn't speak up because you don't want to ruffle feathers. But, you can do it in your own way through art or whatever, meet the people in the community. Just try to bridge those gaps. People should still fight. I do think we had a chance to really curb a lot of this stuff a long time ago. You know what I mean? Some of these emissions. I know I think it's the Paris Agreement that like a lot of governments that have they tried, but it's not enough. You know what I mean? So I think everybody should continue fighting, continue speaking up. People inside find a way to speak up. You know what I mean? And but yeah, so I'm kind of I'm in a pessimistic state, but anything's possible. I never thought the refinery would close, but anything is possible. So yeah, so that to the people in Chester, my hometown, keep at it. I don't want that thing in my hometown, that incinerator. I know I should be I shouldn't be biased, but no, this is my hometown. This is ridiculous. There's like a governing body. I don't know if I should even say it, but there's people making decisions in Delaware County. They might not have the best interests of my town at heart. That's all I can say. So, and it's a shame. Like if they were from there, they would have more empathy. But it's a shame like true empathy is. I call Isabel Wilkerson, a great author, said she calls it radical empathy. Like I don't need to have a disability to empathize with someone with disability. You know what I mean? Like that's just how I am. That's how I was raised. But a lot of people aren't like that.